Once upon a time, Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez became friends, and then they collaborated to bring us the first movie from that friendship. This is that movie. From Dusk Till Dawn. Alright, so in living in a world where vampire movies are literally a dime a dozen, From Dusk Till Dawn came out when vampires were considered gross among tweens. Quentin Tarantino had 2 movies out, Desperado was considered literally the most violent movie on earth, and Clooney had not collaborated with the devil to ruin Batman yet. Ah, those golden years, baby. Or at least bronze. Alright, so long story short, Seth and Richard Gecko are a couple of criminal brothers played by George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino himself, who take a family hostage to go down to Mexico to meet certain freedom. And based on the fact that I am reviewing this movie because Halloween's coming up, that's not what they find down there. The family that they take hostage is Harvey Keitel, who plays a faithless preacher, Juliette Lewis, who pretty much plays cannon fodder for the pedophile, and a bad actor who I've just never seen again. So the movie's pretty much like 2 movies in one. It's like a Tarantino-style crime movie from the beginning till about halfway through. So you're having a good time, it's good dialogue, and then at the halfway point, you get half a stack from Selma Hayek's Little Dance, and then surprise, vampires, and then slaughter. These are not upper-class vampires either, wearing like 3-piece suits, sipping goblets of blood, speaking in Tolkienese Old English. No, these guys rip off limbs, heads, and play guitars comprised of body parts. That shit's a true story. True in the movie, anyway. Not in real life that I know of. But then at that point, the movie becomes a fight for survival between these 7 people and just a legion of vampires. Pretty much, if you're not interested to see the movie now, you just never will be. Now, I don't even care. This will always be my favorite role of George Clooney. But he can go for an Oscar anytime he wants. He can go to play whatever tour de force character he wants. But I will always love him most as Seth Gecko from Dusk Till Dawn. He is an absolute badass. He's that character that we guys watch in a movie and we're like, I want to be like that when I grow up. I still do that. I don't even care. I mean, whenever he talks, it's like he has his gun out like this, he scowls and he makes his threat, and then he pulls his gun back like this to enunciate what he's saying, and he puts it right back in their face. Then he does the Clooney smirk. That's awesome. And Cheech Marin's in the movie in 3 separate unrelated roles, which is why I call it the Tale of 3 Cheeches, but it ultimately proves that if there is a Mexican role in a movie, Cheech can play it. And the violence in this movie is just, it's absolutely non-stop. I mean, there's a lot of exploding latex and egg whites in this movie. And I like how the characters in this movie really call it how it is. I mean, most of the time in vampire movies, they see crosses and stakes just killing these things. They see them combusting into flame upon death, and they're always like, what are these things? In this movie, they're like, holy shit, these things are vampires. We are calling it now. It probably does not hurt that these things straight up look like demons. I mean, this is not Count Chocula they're taking on here. I mean, these things look like the worst of the worst. They're gross. So violence, old school vampires, Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, a badass, and Cheech. If you like any given combination of 3 of those 6 items in a movie, go check out From Dusk Till Dawn. You'll like it. Put it on your Halloween playlist because From Dusk Till Dawn is gore-tastic. With 3 Cheeches. One of which, if you memorize his monologue, you get points, I'm just saying. And stay tuned tomorrow for another classic review involving another classic vampire movie. More classic this time, and you want a hint, don't you? You want a hint? Alright. You're eating maggots, Michael. How do they taste? Do you understand me? Alright, that second part was my Jack Bauer. That's not actually in that movie, but it's still relevant. But if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, then click right here to see more.